Forgiveness lives in that uncomfortable space between what happened to us and who we want to become. Listeners, it asks hard questions like, are you ready to release something that shaped you? Are you willing to loosen your grip on a story that once kept you safe? Listeners, today on this episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life with your host Sana, we are not treating forgiveness like a pretty quote on Instagram or TikTok. We are treating it like a real psychological and emotional process that affects your nervous system, your relationships, and how you move through the world. And my guest, Adam Brownlie. He's an Australian author and speaker who blends philosophy, psychology, and personal experience to explore what exactly makes life meaningful. From his sci fi novel, The Last Gods, that plays with identity and transcendence, to his upcoming self development guide, Happypedia, that unpacks happiness, mental health, and also human behavior in practical ways. And listeners, let me tell you this Adam's work is not about chasing a perfect life. It is about understanding how we relate, how we connect with ourselves, how we heal old stories, and how we grow with intention, which makes him the perfect person to sit with us in this very real conversation on forgiveness, not as a moral rule, but as a human practice listener. So, if you are listening with a part of you that still feels like, hurt or stuck, this one's for you. So, take a breath, notice what comes up. You are in a safe space to question everything you have been told about letting go. So, Adam, welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, and I'm really, really honored to have you here with us.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Sana. That was a great introduction.
Oh, thank you so much. And, uh, you know, um, I really, really connected with, I mean, whatever I just said, because sometimes there's this another side to forgiveness that, it's ethical or maybe it's moral. But then, do I really mean when I want to forgive someone? Before that, even, do I really mean if I'm forgiving myself? Do I get to remove all those old memories? Or maybe if somebody has hurt me, or maybe, I am judging myself based on any kind of decision that completely changed the trajectory of my life. So I think it's a very, very important, very crucial conversation, especially when it comes to mental health. And Adam, let's start with your research and your experiences. So when you look at all of these, what do you think forgiveness is actually for? Like, is it mainly for um, inner peace, or is it also about repairing relationships?
Yeah, that's a great place to start. Like, what is forgiveness?
Yeah.
And for me, it's the releasing of resentment. So I think it's really important to remember that it's a selfish act. Like, it's for ourselves. It's not for someone else. When we release resentment, uh, we're the only benefactor of it. No one
Mhm.
else really benefits. Uh, and yeah, it's so important for our mental health. Like, so much of our stress comes because of something someone else has done that's
Mm.
hurt us, or something we've done that we regret. And if we can just forgive ourselves or forgive someone else, then it's a massive burden off our shoulders.
Mm. Mm. And
Is that how you see forgiveness?
oh my God, yeah. I mean, it's a difficult question. I mean, I would say that it depends on situation to situation, Adam. I mean, I if I say this, then I'll be lying to myself and to everyone listening that I forgive everyone. No, I don't. It takes a lot of time. There having people in my life, or sometimes myself, when those events or their actions have their words have deeply affected. And I kind of tend to store them, like, like compartmentalize or store them at the back of my mind. And let's say if something I see, let's say something that, kind of takes me back or connects me with that particular event or human,
Yeah.
that person, then those memories once again come back. I
Yeah.
get a rabbit hole of why did I do that? Why did I listen to them? Or why did I take that decision? I am
Yeah.
such a loser person. I get
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Imagine if you didn't. How would that change your life? If you look back on those memories and thought, that was something that happened, and it is what it is.
Mm,
Uh, and I don't, you know, uh, it doesn't. It's not an emotional burden, and recalling those unfortunate situations.
yeah, yeah. And Adam, and I've heard this proverb. It's kind of a um saying or proverb that I've heard from elders,
Yeah.
right from since my childhood, that someone who has a big heart, they'll forgive. Forgiveness is not for weak-hearted people. If
Yeah.
uh, somebody is able to forgive you, uh, it doesn't mean that they're weak.
Yeah.
It means that they are really strong, and they do not want to, like, have hold any grudges. Um, you are on your way, and I'm on my way. That's it. So, what's your thought? How do you explore the same thing if you do in your upcoming guide as well in Happypedia?
Oh, so it all depends on how you're going to go about forgiving. So, uh, for me, if you want to reduce that emotional burden, if we can agree that that is forgiveness,
Mhm.
there's really only two ways. Well, you could say there's three ways to achieve that. The first is just to wait until that emotion fades. Sometimes 2 days later, you don't really regret it so much, or you don't really hate that person so much anymore. But sometimes, you need to wait years. Sometimes people die with regrets and resentment
Mhm.
that hasn't faded over time. So waiting is an option, but it's not always going to work, and it's slow. Uh, the next option is to uh, change your perspective on that event, so it's no longer look bad.
Okay.
So we only have this resentment towards others if we judge something as bad. So if we can change our perspective, we can find a new way of looking at that same situation, that we no longer judge it as bad, then we'll no longer feel resentment, and we will have forgiven. So, like, someone might do something terrible to us, and
Mhm.
then we realize that that was actually really fortunate because that opened up the door to something amazing that we never would have got otherwise. We'll still be, you know, think they were bad for doing what they did, but we're not going to have that strong resentment towards them that we once did, because we've got a new perspective. But that's not always possible. Like, some things are just bad. Like, some things you just can't be like, how can I look at this differently? And it's not bad. Like, it's just any way you look at it, this is bad. A-
Exactly.
And so then the third way, which we can do to everything that happens to us, is understand that it couldn't have been different. Because when we know something couldn't have been different, like something was unavoidable, our brain just doesn't, like, it's still bad, right? Like, say a branch fell from a tree and landed and broke your windscreen. Like, you're going to be disappointed about that, but you're going to be like, well, it's kind of unavoidable. Like, it was bad luck that I just happened to be parked under that tree when it broke and fell on my car.
Yeah.
You're not going to be resentful towards that tree because you're like, well, there's nothing it could have done about that. you're going to be annoyed, but you're not going to be you're not going to have that suffering that we get when we need to forgive. Now let's compare that to, say, your friend got angry at you and did the same damage to your windscreen. Quite often we're like really resentful at them. Same damage as the tree, but just because we imagine that they could have done differently, they could have been a different person, they could have made a different decision. And so if we can change our perspective to see that what that person did was unavoidable,
Mm-hmm.
then we can reduce that emotional burden on ourselves. And, we'll still judge it as bad. Yeah, it's bad that our windscreen got broken, but, it was unavoidable. So we're not going to hold that deep resentment. And if we can do that, it's just anybody can do it. You don't have to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to have, well, I say, like a good understanding of what caused that person to do what they did. If you know what caused them, you know that they weren't free. Something made them do that. So it's just about knowledge. I think a wise person who understands what caused them to do what they did is going to find it very easy to forgive that person.
Mm-hmm. But I think then that will also depend on, and it will have its own context, Adam. I mean, one thing that, I can make a sense of it is, I mean, two things here that I really, really appreciate here, because you are naming that tension here.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people listening, they're not looking for, spiritual enlightenment. I mean, they definitely want accountability. They want their pain to be seen as well. And what you are saying, I think it frames forgiveness more like a choice that can come later, once the reality has come to the limelight, like to the light.
Yeah. Uh, so you're saying that people want to feel, uh, they want to
No,
feel resentment? Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to say that, because I think forgiveness cannot be defined like, like be kind, be the bigger person, and then move on. I mean, for some situations, I mean, it would be like, how can I forgive the person if they have done harm to me and I'm not even getting that, acknowledgement, that no one is understanding what pain I have been caused to, what harm they have done. How can I
Yeah.
ever forgive? So that's what I'm saying.
So people want acknowledgement that, something bad has happened to them.
Yeah.
So how would that look if a branch fell from a tree?
I mean, that's why, I said that, it depends on the context, like situation to situation.
Yeah. Can you tell me how it would look in that situation? How someone would want to be understood?
Yeah. So based on the example, let's say if the branch has fallen on from the tree
Yeah.
on the window and has got broken, then I mean, of course, there is no point, it's just bad luck. It's
Yeah.
just like coincidence. But then at the same time, let's say if a person, if my friend, maybe out of anger has broken the windscreen, then
Yeah.
at least I have, uh, I should at least, have a discussion with that person that, I mean, why or what kind of thought made you do that action? Because this really hurt me.
Yeah, that would be a great conversation to have, because if you ask that question, like that question was framed perfectly, like, what made you do this?
Mm.
Uh, and then if you listen to them genuinely, like looking genuinely for the truth, not just an argument, uh, and you come to learn what made them do it, then it could become easier to forgive, because you're like, you know what? this person didn't do this freely, like something made them do it. It's the fact that they misunderstood me, or they had an angry outburst, and that's not their, like, all these things had prior causes that made them do it. So if we can discover that cause, then we can have more compassion to that person. So
Mm.
uh, yeah, it really, like, what I'm trying to get at is, you said it was bad luck that that branch broke and broke our windscreen.
Yeah.
Uh, what makes forgiveness easy is if we can get to the point that even when people do damage to us, or, do something we would rather they didn't do, that was also bad luck. So maybe we could, like, what causes this resentment so often is decisions. We see decisions as avoidable. Just about everything else in our world that happens, we see as cause and effect. Except decisions. They seem to have this mystical power to be avoidable, could have been different. So to make forgiveness really easy,
Mm-hmm.
we need to learn why our decisions are unavoidable, as in they couldn't have been different. And then we need to learn how to experience them being unavoidable. And then when we can do that, then we'll be like, well, the fact this person chose to do what they did and hurt me or hurt someone else, that was truly unavoidable. That they couldn't have done it differently.
Makes
Uh,
sense.
yeah. And then the way that we can experience our decisions happening unavoidably is to notice that they all happen unpredictably. As in, each moment, we don't know what our next decision is going to be. When it occurs, we'll be like, yeah, that makes sense that I chose to do that. But until it occurs, we've got no idea what it's going to be. Like, we could walk into a shop and, we had no intention to buy an apple, but when we see the apples for sale and we're like, oh, I'm going to buy an apple. So that decision was just truly unpredictable. We had no idea that decision was going to appear until it did.
Mm.
And then, a moment later, we could decide, no, actually, I came in here to buy a Coke. I'm going to buy a Coke. Or we might be like, oh, I've got to ring my mum back. I forgot to call her back. Or it might be, actually, those bananas look like, we've got no idea what the next decision is going to be. We don't know until it appears. All our decisions are completely unpredictable and so unavoidable. And each moment just leads to the next moment. And so if we can take the time to notice this, then we will be able to forgive ourselves and everybody else, just like we forgive a tree for doing something that it did unavoidably.
Does make sense. That does make sense. And
Yeah.
let's talk about how does it look, in daily behavior. Um, Now, in your work with happiness and human behavior,
Yeah.
um, what are some concrete signs that a person has actually started to forgive, even if they are feeling um, the waves of anger or resentment or maybe
Yeah.
grief?
Yeah, I guess we could ask ourselves some questions.
Okay.
Uh, I'm just trying to think of a question that we might ask ourselves. Like, we might still want to avoid that person. Like, if someone's hurt us, it's in their nature to potentially hurt us again. Like, the same with a tree. Like, if we parked on a tree and it dropped a branch on us, we're going to be like, well, I'm not parking under one of those trees again. And we'll be the same with this person. We're like, I'm not going to lend this person money again, not after they didn't pay me back last time. So it's not going to ask, are we going to deal with that person again? It's like, do we have hate for that person?
Mm.
It'd be questions like that. Like, do I have resentment towards that person? And if we're just like got fear of them, or we just want to avoid dealing with them again, that doesn't necessarily mean we haven't forgiven them. That just means we're learnt our lesson. But if we've still got hate or resentment towards them, then yeah, maybe we haven't forgiven yet.
Mhm. Mm. And I also think that, it's very relieving, because if someone is still thinking, like listening to this and still thinking that, I still get triggered all the time. Like I gave my example. Like I tend to get into that emotional, like a rabbit hole in there. Maybe I have not forgiven at all. Maybe that particular feeling of anger or resentment is actually eating me up. So, how would you help? Like, how we can differentiate between this emotional residue, like people call that there's emotional baggage, and a lack of forgiveness?
So how do we get over that baggage?
Like, the differentiation between whether it's an emotional baggage, or is it something, predominantly that we are not able to forgive at all?
Uh, I don't know whether anybody's not able to forgive at all. It just takes time, and you've got to change your beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe someone's an evil person and they could have done things differently, then you're going to feel uncomfortable whenever you think of that evil thing they did.
Mm.
Uh, it's only when we change our beliefs and change our perspective, when we reflect on that bad thing that they did, and we don't feel that resentment anymore. So we've got to find a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it's possible. You've just got to discover it, and just knowing something isn't always going to change how we feel. We've got to really believe it. Uh, like sometimes someone might tell us something, but we won't really believe it until we experience it ourselves, and then we've got a really strong. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
Well, we've got if we've found a new perspective, like for example, if you wanted to adopt this perspective that this person that hurt me had no opportunity to do anything else, they had to do that. They're always going to do that. It's not their fault. You need to have experiences that support that belief. Like you can't just choose to believe whatever you want. You can't just choose to believe that you know you're an ant. You need to have experiences that support that you're an ant. And the same with believing that this person couldn't have done what they like, couldn't have avoided what they did. You can't just choose to believe that. You need to have experiences that support that belief. And so to have experiences that support that belief, one experience you can have is taking the time each day or a couple of times per day just to take note that all your decisions are appearing unpredictably and so unavoidably. And the more you have this experience, the more you'll be able to forgive yourself, but also be able to forgive others, because you know that they're exactly like you. Their decisions also appear the same way yours appear. So by having these experiences, it will change your beliefs. And when your beliefs change, your perspective of past events will change. And when your perspectives change, your judgments will change. And when your judgments change, your feelings change.
Yep. Yeah, that really makes good sense, Adam. And before we conclude, I think this is a very important question.
Yeah.
We say that if we are, let's say we tend to, we normally, when we connect with our friends or loved ones, we always be very gentle and kind with them. But the kind of self-talk that we do with ourselves, it's very judgmental. It's sometimes very harsh.
Yep.
Why can't you do the same with us? And so in the same, kind of, frame, what do you think, like, in your view, what is harder for most people, forgiving others or forgiving themselves?
Yeah, great question.
Hmm.
Uh, we generally feel more emotional the closer something is to ourselves.
Hmm.
I think this is just a natural thing. It's not something we can change. Uh, for example, let's say uh, someone's, you might see on the news that someone's wife has left their husband on the other side of the world in a different country.
Hmm.
You're going to be a little bit, disappointed maybe about that. But it's a whole different level if this same thing happened to your brother, for example. It's
Hmm.
just closer to home. And then it's a whole different level when it happens to you personally. It's just the way our mind works. The more something relates to us,
Yeah.
the harder it is to deal with.
Yep.
So I think that makes sense. Like, imagine if we took on every burden as if it was personal. Like, that would be a huge emotional toll. So it's kind of good that our body works that way.
Hmm.
And I guess knowing that can help us be a little bit more at ease when we do find it harder to deal with things that are close to us than things that aren't so close to us.
Hmm. I agree. I agree with you, Adam. I agree. I think it also lands very deeply. Like, we tend to generalize, especially with the example that you gave, that, if this particular incident has happened and something similar has happened, maybe in our own acquaintance, we
Yeah.
try to, kind of generalize. Um, and I think what you are offering, I think, let's say if such kind of, these kind of thoughts they come up, are there any practices that we can do? Let's say it's journaling, or maybe doing a kind of looking into the mirror and talking with ourselves, something that we can do, which we can actually help us get out of that loop or that feeling.
Yeah, I think I'd love to just go back. So there's two ways you can go get out of that loop. Uh, they both involve changing your judgment. So our judgment is such a powerful thing, and it just determines what hormones we produce. We judge something as bad, we produce cortisol. We judge something as good, we produce dopamine. Uh, and so if we want to change how we feel, we've got to change our judgments. If we want to change our judgments, we've got to change our beliefs. So what beliefs can we change that are going to change that judgment? If we are creative enough, we might be able to find a way of looking at what happened that makes it no longer bad.
Yeah.
And if we can find that and believe it, then we'll change our judgments and how we feel, what hormones we produce. But it's
Mhm.
not always possible. And in that case, we need to understand what caused that to happen. Why did that happen? If we can learn what caused that to happen, then we'll change our judgment that it was avoidable, and it will greatly lessen our discomfort about what happened. So if we can't change our perspective to see it as good, then try and find out what caused it.
Yep.
And if it was someone's decision, what caused it was a bunch of neurons firing. And the reason they fired was because of the structure of their brain at that particular time. And their structure was because, moments before, the experiences they had what they'd eaten days before, how much sleep they had had,
Mm-hmm.
what relationships they've had, how much stress they've experienced. All these things change that person's structure of the brain. And because of that exact structure that it was in that moment, caused those neurons to fire exactly that way and cause that decision to eventuate.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Great, great. So, Adam, I think our listeners will be very interested to explore this further. And also, if they would like to connect with you, they would like to share their thoughts after this
Yeah.
conversation. And they would also like to get hold of your books. What would be the best way?
If you just Googled my name, Adam Brownlie, you should find uh, my website. You'll find links to my book on Amazon. So, The Last Gods is that science fiction, my last book that I published last year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then Happypedia. So, if you look up Happypedia, you'll see it's available for pre-sale at the moment on Amazon, and it's scheduled to be published before Christmas. So it should be coming out very soon.
Super.
But yeah, you can also message me on all the social media sites, and all those links should come up too if you Googled Adam Brownlie.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Listeners, I'm going to have all the details in the show notes. So connect with Adam, check out his website, check out his books. I'm very interested to check out Adam, your sci-fi book, The Last Gods. The name itself is pretty interesting. So I think very, very interesting. And congratulations for your upcoming book as well, Happypedia.
Thanks.
And yeah, so listeners, just refer to the show notes along with this episode on your favorite podcast platform. And I think when it comes to forgiveness, I also agree. Like, I also personally feel that it sounded a lot less like a slogan, but more like a living process, that moves at this speed of your nervous system, not the speed of any external expectations. So, Anam, thank you so much for, bringing both your mind and your heart into this conversation. We really, really explored psychology, the way we think, the way we perceive our nervous system. Yeah, well, very,
Yeah.
really.
I'm really glad to have the opportunity to share about this. I think forgiveness really is a world changing ability if we can all forgive more. It'll make us a lot happier and make our relationships a lot easier.
Exactly, exactly. 100% true. And listeners, if you are listening right now and you feel stirred, maybe a bit raw, that is okay. I am also feeling the same a bit.
Yeah.
But I think we do not need to rush into forgiving anyone, including ourselves. We can start with awareness, with telling the truth, with maybe one small act of kindness toward the part of you that still feels hurt. So, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Thank you for being here, for feeling with us, and for doing this inner work in real time. Take care of your mind, take care of your heart, and as always, give yourself permission to be a work in progress. This is your host, Sarah, signing off. Thank you.